Are you ready to uncover the chilling truth behind the once mighty Euphrates River? Prepare yourself to witness the unimaginable things that have been lurking beneath the surface of the Euphrates River for centuries. The recent drought has left the riverbed dry, revealing something so terrifying that it's been kept hidden from the world until now. The team of scientists has uncovered shocking evidence that will leave you on the edge of your seat as we uncover the secrets that have been lurking beneath the river's waters. So without any further delay, let's get started. Let's talk about the Euphrates throughout history. Around the 4th millennium before the Common Era, Sumer had its first flush of cultural development, which can be traced back to the availability of water given by the Euphrates River. Mari, Sippar, Nippur, Uruk and Eridu are only a few of the ancient cities that were situated on or near the banks of rivers. Other major ancient cities are Uruk and Eridu. The river valley was the centerpiece of the later empires of Babylonia and Assyria, which both sprang from this region. For several centuries, the river served as the boundary between the effective control of the Roman and Egyptian empires to the west and the western provinces of the Persian Empire to the east. In addition, the Battle of Karbala, which was an important turning point in Islamic history and took place on the banks of the Euphrates River, resulted in the deaths of Imam Hussein and members of his family and close circle of friends. The Tigris River and the Euphrates River are the two major rivers that constitute Mesopotamia. The Tigris River is located to the east of the Euphrates River. The beginnings of these two rivers can be found within about 80 kilometers of one another in eastern Turkey. From there, they flow southeast across North Syria and Iraq before emptying into the Persian Gulf. They come together to form a massive river system, which is located inside an ecoregion of alluvial salt marshes in the Middle East. The rivers are fed by several smaller streams that join together to form shallow freshwater lakes, bogs, and marshes that are encircled by deserts on all sides. The hydrology of these enormous marshes is of the utmost importance to the ecosystem of the entire Upper Persian Gulf. This region, known as the cradle of civilization because of its long history, is home to some of the world's first human settlements. There are several references to the Euphrates River in both the Judeo-Christian Bible and the Hadiths that were transmitted by the Prophet Muhammad. The Euphrates, which has a total length of 1,730 miles, is the longest river in Southwest Asia. It is produced when two rivers, the Karasu River, which originates in the Armenian highlands of what is now eastern Turkey north of Erzurum, and the Murat River meet at a point known as the confluence, which issues from an area southwest of Mount Ararat, north of Lake Van. It makes its way down the Taurus Mountains in a manner that takes it between the principal ranges. Even though Turkey only accounts for slightly more than a third of the drainage basin's total area, the country's highlands are the source of nearly all of the country's water. The upper stages of the Euphrates River flow through several steep canyons and gorges as they make their way southward through Syria and into Iraq. Both the Kabur, a significant tributary that begins its journey in southeastern Turkey, and the Balik River, which originates in eastern Syria, flow into the Euphrates River. These are the only two rivers that feed into the Euphrates River system. The Euphrates stops receiving any new water flow further downstream at any point over its entire course. The Shat al-Arab is formed when this river combined with the Tigris in southern Iraq, north of the city of Basra. The Shat al-Arab eventually flows into the Persian Gulf. In times past, the river valley was intensely irrigated, and as a result, the river's banks were the site of numerous important cities. The remnants of some of these settlements can still be found today. Geography. The climate of the river region as a whole can be described as subtropical, hot and dry. Large permanent lakes, marshes, and forests can be found in the large floodplain formed by the confluence of the Euphrates, Tigris, and Karun rivers, which are located near the northernmost tip of the Persian Gulf. Reeds, rushes, and papyrus are all examples of the water vegetation that provide habitat for a wide variety of species. The land in and around the rivers Tigris and Euphrates is known for its high fertility. Marshy land is home to water birds, some of which stop here while migrating and others of which spend the winter in these marshes, surviving off the lizards, snakes, frogs, and fish. Additional animals that can be found in these marshes include water buffalo, two endemic kinds of rodents, antelopes, and gazelles, as well as small animals like the jerboa and several other mammalian species. In the Bible, Euphrates is referred to. There was a river that ran out of Eden to water the garden, and at that point, the river split into 4 separate rivers. Both the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers are mentioned in the Bible for the very first time in this passage. After the Pishon and the Gihon, The Tigris is the name of the third river that can be found flowing to the east of Assyria. It follows in the footsteps of its predecessors. The Euphrates is often regarded as the fourth river in this order. The sixth angel in the book of Revelation issues an order for the release of the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates, which is a scene that is depicted in this manuscript. Following this, the river is dried up so that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared, according to the order. Once the sixth angel has demanded the release of the 4 angels who are confined at the mighty river Euphrates, this scene has taken place. The Euphrates River is mentioned quite a few times throughout the Bible, and its role in the events that took place in both the Old and New Testaments is of critical significance. This is because the Euphrates River served as a major transportation route between ancient Mesopotamia and the Mediterranean Sea. According to Genesis 2:14, one of the 4 rivers that flow out of the Garden of Eden is a river called Perath, which is the Hebrew word for the Euphrates. The name Euphrates comes from a Hebrew term that could have originated from the word stream or to break forth. This word has been translated into English as the Euphrates. The Hebrew name for this river is Hiddekel, to develop from the river that flows out of the garden. The river of the same name served as one of the demarcation lines for the land that God had promised to Abraham and the descendants of Abraham who descended from him through Isaac and Jacob. In the Hebrew Bible, it is sometimes referred to as simply the river. For example, on that day the Lord formed a covenant with Abram and said, "To your descendants I grant this country, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates." After creating the Tigris and Euphrates, God says, "The name of the third river is Tigris. That is the river that flows east of Assur." The Euphrates, for its part, is the fourth river. The Euphrates is the land's northern and eastern boundary, and God makes the following promise to Abram: "From the Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, I give this land to your descendants." For the Israelites to enter the promised land, God gives them the following instructions: "Begin your journey and go to the hill country of the Amorites, and to all of their neighbors in the Arabah, the hill country, the Shephelah, the Negeb, the seacoast, the land of the Canaanites, and Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates." The Jews are given this promise regarding the promised land by God, who communicates it to Moses. "Every location where you set the soles of your feet shall be yours. Your territory's frontiers are going to extend from the desert to Lebanon, and from the Euphrates River out to the western sea." And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the battle of Armageddon might be prepared. Talking about the concerns, when the river was younger, it formed numerous different channels near Basra, which resulted in the formation of large marshes. In the basin of the rivers Tigris and Euphrates, these natural wetland ecosystems have been developing for thousands of years, and formerly encompassed an area of 15 to 20,000 square kilometers. They are beautiful and extensive. During the 1970s, between 84 and 90% of the world's marshes have been eradicated, as stated by both the United Nations Environment Program and the Ammar Charitable Foundation. The government of Saddam Hussein was responsible for the destruction of 60% of the wetland areas in 1994. They were drained so that the native marsh Arabs could have better military access and more political control over their territory. Instead of letting water move slowly through the marshland, canals, dikes, and dams were created to route the water of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers through the marshes. This prevented the water from becoming stagnant. After a portion of the Euphrates was drained because its water was sent to the sea, a dam was constructed so that water could not back up from the Tigris and continue to support the wetlands that had previously been there. Parts of the marshlands were set on fire, and the installation of subterranean pipelines assisted in the removal of excess water, which facilitated a more rapid drying process. The drying up of the marshes led to the extinction of salt-tolerant plant life, waters rich in plankton that fed the soil in the surrounding areas, 52 native fish species, and the wild boar, red fox, buffalo, and water birds that called the marsh ecosystem home. Although the drainage policy has been reversed ever since the invasion of Iraq by the United States in 2003, it is still unknown whether or not the marshes will be able to recover. There is a great deal of debate on who has the right to use the river and for what purposes. The Southeastern Anatolia project in Turkey will involve the construction of 22 dams and 19 power plants. This will be the most extensive infrastructure development project that Turkey has ever attempted. The Turkish government has high hopes that the project will bring a boost to the economy of the surrounding region. Nevertheless, critics both inside and outside of Turkey have cast doubt on its potential advantages and have attacked the scheme's potential social and environmental implications. The Tabaka Dam in Syria, which was finished in 1973, and is often sometimes referred to as simply the Euphrates Dam, creates a reservoir called Lake Assad, which is used for the irrigation of cotton crops. Syria has already dammed its 2 major streams and is currently working on another dam construction project. The Iraqi government maintains 7 operational dams, but water management was not a priority under Saddam Hussein's rule. With the fall of the Ba'ath regime in Iraq in 2003, water consumption has once again become a primary concern. Because there is so little water available in the Middle East, Iraq lives in constant fear that its neighbors, Syria and Turkey, would consume the vast majority of the available water before it reaches Iraq. In its current form, irrigation in southern Iraq contributes very little water to the Shat al-Arab, which is a tributary of the Tigris. That's all for the video today. We will be right back with more. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.